what was that? Greetings, Starfighters. Welcome to Mad Science Films. I'm Jimmy P, filmmaker and sexual astronaut. And as ever, I'm joined by my page 3 stunner co-host.
Thanks, Jim. James Morrissey, one out for the Mad Science Films team. So, guys, before we crack on with this new format, new show, don't forget to like and subscribe to this channel. Follow us on Facebook, and that was it, wasn't it? Yeah.
Leave the comments in the section below.
Comments, yes. Cool.
I've been listening to you do it for so long. I know it now.
You think I would remember it all, like verbatim by now, but clearly.
Also, guys, before I interrupt Jim, please check out our fourth feature film for free over on YouTube. Just search for Little Monster or click on the link in the show notes below. This week, we have a new strand to the channel. And Jim, explain it to these good people.
So we're calling this simply the Plex.
I wanted to call it Plex thing with no pants on, but
well, I tell you what, we could maybe leave it up to the guys watching. Which do you prefer, and we could change it. Okay, so we'll have a little poll thing going on.
I do quite like that because it gives me an opportunity to sing, but I also just like the unabashed filth of Plex thing with no pants on.
Yeah, they both got their strengths.
To be honest, like if we do start really gunning for like a Plex sponsorship deal, they'll probably be like simply the Plex more than Plex with no pants.
Yeah. We're gonna have to run it by them first. So, guys, if you're wondering what Simply the Plex is, this is the show where we look at the free streaming service Plex and review the best movies Plex have to offer.
Nice. Yeah. True that. Yeah. Plex was a brand new one to me, so thanks to Jim for switching me onto it. I mean, I've got a billion other streaming services, but I have noticed there have been some ones on there which I haven't been able to, some films on there that I haven't been able to get elsewhere. So my watch list is steadily growing on Plex as well. So Jim, what have you cherry picked from the Plex tree for us to watch this week?
I mean, if you're a horror fan, I think you'd be quite delighted with the catalog that Plex has to offer. And there's quite a few on there which are really, really good. But this one in particular for this week, it's one which is, I think, grown on me over time. It's Return of the Living Dead Part 3. Brian Yuzna directs this and produces it, I think, as well. And this is the third installment of the Return of the Living Dead franchise.
Okay, let's do a synopsis. So, ready? Having recently witnessed the horrific results of a top-secret project to bring the dead back to life, a distraught youth performs the operation on his girlfriend after she's killed in a motorcycle accident. Nice.
Like me and Jim, we've discussed this before. I mean, I'm a big fan of number 2, whereas Jim is not. But I think that's down to me watching Return of the Living Dead Part 2 before I watched the first one and nostalgia and all the rest of it. No, number 3, I've never hated number 3, but I kind of dismissed it. And I think over time, like not watching it for quite a long time and then watching it recently, I had a reappreciation for the film. I think the passage of time has made it seem a bit better. I really, really enjoyed it. It's such a good, fun film. It does have its flaws. It does have its kind of like continuity issues, and the storyline kind of is a bit cheesy, but it's a Return of the Living Dead sequel per se. I do love the 90s vibe. I was digging the 90s vibe. Just the
very 90s lit.
Very 90s. Even like the core, like the father and son feels like a 90s melodrama, at the center of this crazy zombie film. But a lot to like about it. A lot of really cool scenes. And Brian Yuzna is not afraid to get gory and bloody and go on those mad, like some of the scenes are just so, and do you know, like it really gets into it, doesn't it? There's no build up, it just gets into it, I just like the whole scene right at the beginning where they're first testing the trioxin on the zombie corpse and it comes to life and it kills, I mean, spoilers, but
spoilers, bad things happen in a horror movie.
But it goes on this mad kill spree and it just doesn't hold back, and it's pretty much sets the tone for the rest of the film. And there's a lot going on. So, and effectively it is like a love story between Kurt and Julie. And you know, it's like almost like a Romeo and Juliet kind of thing.
My journey with the film is a bit of a roller coaster. So I think I caught this as soon as it came out on video back in the day. So I'm guessing I would have been about 14, 15 when it came out, on video at least. And I didn't like it because at that point I'd already seen the first and I'd seen the second. And yeah, as Jim said, I'm not a massive fan of the second, but what I liked about the two was the humor. And definitely when I saw it when I was, you know, like a teenager, I didn't feel there was that humor in there. You could argue now like that it's a very pitch black humor. But I didn't, you know, I didn't feel it was Return of the Living Dead film. So yeah, I didn't quite vibe with it. And yeah, you know, I got the whole sadomasochistic bondage stuff in there, but as a, you know, 15-year-old 14, 15-year-old, you know, mate, I was just interested in good old-fashioned regular porn. You know, so the Sado stuff wasn't quite, you know, I was just like, what's going on there, man? You know, I'm not sure I want to see zombie titties. You know? Stuff. So yeah. But then I probably rewatched it, I don't know, about 15 years ago when I was just watching anything I could. And I definitely appreciated it more on its own terms. So, as you said, mate, I think it's a great idea to kind of do the zombie Romeo Juliet kind of thing, you know, a love that wouldn't die, but with added kink. So yeah. However, so rewatching it for the show after you recommend it and rewatching it on Plex, I'm kind of ashamed to admit I love it a little bit less this time. So I still love the core idea and I love the main characters and everything like that. But the subplot with like the Latino gang running around, that just drags for me. That whole act 2 really drags. And I kind of feel they are just additional zombie fodder. You know, they're only introduced to be a bit of a threat, which is unneeded because you've got the army threat. And I think that is, you know, that's a much more interesting threat because, you know, it's the dad versus the son. And then, you know, the dad's rival played by Sarah Douglas. So the Latino gang is just like really stereotypical, really 90s. Hey, ooh, yeah, you kinky. And I'm like, oh, okay. And I just don't care about those characters. So when they die horribly, it's like, okay, cool looking zombies, amazing gore, but like, that just drags them. We spend time with them as, you know, one of them's like dying in the back of the car. And I'm like, I've seen this before and I've seen it done better. So
I think that's probably down to, because if I'm right, I think they didn't have much time to shoot this film. It was only a matter of a few days.
Right.
And I think if you're dealing with like the threat can't be mass zombies like you've seen in the first two, or particularly number 2. That takes time, doesn't it? So I think they had to rethink their inks or pre-plan in the script beforehand to have these you know, these elements of danger that weren't zombies. So have a small gang and all that shit. I get what you mean though, but I think for the audience, they don't care about how many days you had, do they? They'd like, I want to see this.
No, exactly. But I think they could have achieved the same thing, and even on a lower budget, by keeping it as the military were chasing after them.
I kind of like that.
The dad was like more torn as to, you know, oh, I'm chasing my son, and I think I would have seen more of that. And if anything, take the time away from the Latino gang, who, like, they're not the main characters. They are stereotypes. They're cliches. Take that time and put it more in the beginning of the film, so we care a bit more about Julie and what's the guy called? I can't even remember what. Kurt.
Yeah.
Kurt Cobain, man, so 90s. It's like a Seattle that start a band. So, you know, put more time into that, so you give more of a shit. So I mean, I really love the military setup. I love the location of that place. I think it's really well realized. As you said, mate, the opening scene with the massive zombie, you know, really like emaciated zombie who, you know, on the IMDb trivia, apparently was a homeless dude who they put up in a high-class hotel so they wouldn't lose him. And
that's right. Yeah.
I mean, is that slightly exploitative? I'm not quite sure.
I think he had a limousine.
Apparently, to get it. They just didn't lose this guy. But I love all that military stuff, and I like the tension between the father and the son. as I said, Sarah Douglas, you know, who's in stuff like V, I think Superman 2, she was one of the bad guys in that. British actress. Yeah, she's brilliant in this, and I love the tension between her and Kurt's dad. All of that stuff, I think, works really well. Great set design. I love the coloring, the lighting that they do in it as well. So, you know, like in the booth, it's very blue and dark or whatever. In the lab, it's white, and then in those corridors, you have that orange, you know, red alert kind of coloring and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah. But I really like the locations too. I mean, the sewer, the army base. You know what I mean? I liked in the alleyways. It kind of went around the place. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I'm not sure.
What they did really well was by lighting it or having different colored sets and all of that. I think they really established it. It made it feel like extra production value, you know. And you know, I think it was like probably like almost like a Star Trek trick in the terms of all of those corridors was probably one set that they just moved the modules around. Like so I really dug that. I think Kurtz, played by J. Trevor Edmond, he's fine. He's a bit 90s bland. It's kind of like Billy Warlock in Society. You kind of need that like vanilla character. So he's probably like freaked out when Mindy Clark, who is amazing in this film. I mean, she makes the film for me. You know, playing Julie. You know, and it's such a great design that obviously that was the video cover that we all kind of grew up on. You know, that image of her. I mean, it's not really, you think about a poster, it's not a great poster, but it's an amazing just image that works. And you're like,
I think, I mean, that was a really good, I think that was a really good twist in this. Well, not twist, but you know, seeing Judy transform physically. Because I guess when you're thinking about the Julie being bitten and turning into a zombie, I mean, you just go down the regular, you know, she gets pale and her eyes change color. You know, they didn't settle for that. They kind of up the ante, but go, no, we're gonna kind of put nails in and really disfigure the body and stuff. Do you know what I mean? So she becomes this kind of like, more demonic looking fucking psycho zombie. But I like there were some similarities or some things they've taken from the original to original Return of the Living Dead. There's a lot of similarities between Julie and can you remember Trash in the original? She seems obsessed with sex and death. And
I like that. Yeah, that's a good point because I think, and what I picked up definitely more on this viewing than especially the first time I watched it is, she's clearly a bit kinky and everything to start with before she becomes the zombie. So if anything, this kind of amplifies it. You know, she's really morbid. Like, you know, Kurt's like, shit, let's get out of here. And she's like, did you see that? Oh.
Yeah.
So I mean, I absolutely love that, man.
Yeah, I mean, she's literally playing with his dick, and that's why they crash on the bike. You know what I mean? She's definitely one of these like living on the edge kind of people. You know what I mean?
Don't wank and drive.
Don't wank off your partner and expect to live.
Don't wank and drive.
If you're driving, that is. No, but yeah, it's what was it, like an hour and a half?
I think it's about hour and 40. Hour and 40. Yeah.
Yeah. So
and also, did you notice though? And this I was kind of annoyed with. So sorry, Plex, but you guys have got like the cut US edition. And I only noticed this when you didn't actually see her insert the glass shards and everything into her skin. You saw the reveal as the monster, and I was just like, okay. But I remembered as a kid, and I looked it up, that we were lucky in the UK, like whenever it came out on video, we got the full uncut thing, which apparently wasn't available on like home video or whatever to Americans until the Blu-ray release. So. Which surprises me because I mean, usually, you know, kind of like gore and stuff like that, we have it toned down here in the UK. So I was a bit disappointed that the version on Plex is obviously the US cut version without the bits where, I mean, story-wise, it doesn't make a huge amount of difference. But Steve Johnson, who did the makeup effects, he does such a great job that it's a shame we don't get to see that moment. And it's such a, for me, iconic moment of the film because it's all, you know, extreme close-ups of, you know, this like sadomasochistic stuff she's doing to herself.
Kind of like you watch those 80s action films where they're getting ready to fight and you see the close-up friends lock in and stuff.
Brilliant, mate. Yeah.
Kind of like that, isn't it? But more horror. Yeah.
The Hellraiser version of Hellraiser Commando.
Yeah. Definitely a mix there. But
write that down. We're gonna make that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, what was your feeling about the relationship between the two central characters and the actors' performances? Did that work for you, or?
I mean, it's somewhat believable. I mean, like you said, there was no real build-up, was there? There was no real establishing them as a couple. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like, but I think it was believable enough, but not like, I think, like you said, maybe if there was a bit more of a, I mean, I appreciate them just getting into the film. I appreciate that, but could they have done maybe something a little bit before, a couple of scenes?
I'm torn. So I think by the end of the film, they've really established it. So I think, like the final scenes, spoilers, when they're in front of like the furnace and everything like that, I'm like, those poor kids. And like, if you think about Romeo and Juliet, they're basically two stupid kids who end up killing themselves. Again, spoilers for Romeo and Juliet, which is what, like 600 years old now? I don't know. But so, yes, they are just stupid kids. So on one way, that's kind of all the scenes that you need. But on another way, if you're doing the whole, I love that death could not stop, maybe establish it a bit more. Like the scene where Julie and Kurt are fooling around in his bedroom and the dad kind of interrupts and, there's a big blow up and, Dad, you don't understand me. I kind of wanted more of that to kind of establish the stakes a bit more, I guess. It's difficult. I kind of get what he was going for in the Romeo and Juliet. They're just two dumb kids, and their plan really is for him to go to Seattle and become a drummer. Great, sure. Clearly, that's supposed to be a stupid plan. They are just kids.
But
at the same time, then, are we supposed to really, kind of root for them?
Plus, also, kids fall in love quite easy and quite quick anyway. So, in reality, I guess you probably wouldn't be much in terms of a
That's what I agree with. But at the same time, I think, trim some of the Latino stuff and then give us more of the relationship at the beginning.
Yeah.
I mean, at the end, I've got no complaints. I think it's really well established, when he goes back into, the military lab or whatever and sees her in the cage and everything like that. They had me fully on board. I just feel that early on in the film, I hadn't bought enough into the relationship to carry me through Act 2, if you get it. I think that's my problem with it is Act 2 puts its focus in the wrong place with the Latino gang and stuff like that.
There's a bit too I agree.
But I will say I still think it is a really strong film. I still think it's the only good sequel to the Return of the Living Dead.
4 and 5 are not good.
Do you know what? I know I watched them like back in the mid 2000s or late 2000s, but I've repressed the memory, so I cannot remember a thing about them.
They weren't that good. This is probably the last decent
proper sequel, and I've got a feeling they just bought the name rather than had anything to do with the earlier films. I'm still not sure whether it works as a Return of the Living Dead, but as a film in its own right, I definitely think it works. I think he does some interesting things with, like the zombie genre in general. As I say, I kind of love it slightly less for that Act 2 dip than I did when I watched it, I don't know, in my 30s. But I love it more than when I watched it in my 15s. So,
I mean, like I say, when I first watched it, in my teens, I wasn't really fussed on it. I didn't really, didn't really like it. But just over time, it's kind of grown on me a bit more. But yeah.
Nice.
It's a good, and it's on Plex, it's free. Give it a go. If you just want some zombie fun from the 90s and you want a gore, definitely want to watch.
Be warned, it is the cut version. So I don't know. I think it's only a matter of like a handful of minutes that are cut. But if you were brought up on the VHS, it is noticeable when you don't get the piercing scene, if you like. So okay. So Jim, you've watched
Yeah.
Return of the Living Dead Part 3. It's not your bedtime. You can't be going to bed, Dad. What are you going to follow it up with?
Well, there's a couple of films. So if you want a really cool zombie film, I mean, go watch the original Night of the Living Dead. It's such a cool film by Romero. A bit slower pace, but more character development there, and it's a really good zombie film which started it all off. Definitely recommend that one. And a Brian Yuzna film which I really like, and it freaked me out watching it at a young age, and that was Society. We touched on it earlier. Really messed up body horror thriller kind of film that really messes with your head.
That pairs beautifully. Commentary, cheese and wine.
Yeah, it's a lot of social commentary about classism and stuff like that. But some good, really weird characters and quirky effects and stuff. That's a real entertainer. So yeah, that's my two there.
Nice. I've gone with the original Return of the Living Dead. Yeah, as Jim said, there are callbacks in Return of the Living Dead 3 to the original. There's a tar man. Absolutely, I hadn't picked up on it before, but the similarities between Julie and Trash, those are definitely there. So agree with that. I'm going with Stuart Gordon, but I think Yuzna produced it. So From Beyond, which was another one of their Lovecraft adaptations, but again with this weird S&M kind of vibe running through it. So if you dug the kinkiness of Return of the Living Dead 3, then there might be something for you in From Beyond. And also because Mindy Clark was amazing in this film, definitely I remember when I watched it, I was like, who is she? I want to see what else she's in. She was in a brilliant later, I think mid to late 90s Mexican, I think it was, horror film called Killer Tongue, which has it's got, I'm fairly sure it's got Doug Bradley. It's definitely got Robert Englund in it. Amazing, weird, like 90s techno soundtrack. And she's amazing in it, an amazing like costume. So hang on, there's the poster, you guys will see it there. Well worth tracking down. I have no idea where you can get it now. It's just one of those ones that was burnt into my brain as a teenager. I've got the soundtrack somewhere. Very 90s, but definitely recommend trying to track down Killer Tongue, also with Melinda Clark, as she now goes by, because more mature than Mindy. So,
definitely. Oh, sweet, cool.
Brilliant. Okay, guys. So let us know, have you seen Return of the Living Dead 3? Also, what other films do you think we should check out on Plex? Because I am a relative Plex virgin. I've just popped my cherry with Return of the Living Dead 3, but ease me in gently now, before we start doing the really kinky shit. And Jim, what else can people do?
Right, guys, if you do like this video, then please hit the like button. If you've been enjoying the Mad Science content and want to subscribe to our channel, follow us on Facebook. If you have any comments or suggestions, then leave those in the comment section down below. Thank you and goodbye.